There is a place where I can go when I feel low.
Hello, and welcome to my Beatles YouTube channel. If you like the Beatles, please make sure you subscribe and you check out my other videos because I'm sure you're gonna find them interesting. This is another episode of a new series called Song Secrets of the Beatles, in which we analyze every single Beatles song one episode at a time. Every episode is divided into 5 different sections: the story behind the song, in the studio, decoding the lyrics, breaking down the music, and legacy and impact. Today's song is There's a Place from the Beatles' debut album Please Please Me. So let's go ahead with our first section.
The story behind the song, behind the song.
In a 1971 interview, John Lennon identified the song as being written by himself. And in a 1980 interview, John Lennon said that he wanted to write, quote, a Motown black thing, saying the usual Lennon things. Paul McCartney, however, recalls differently. In his 1997 authorized biography, Many Years From Now, Paul McCartney recalls writing the song together with John Lennon at his childhood home in Liverpool at 20 Portland Road. And he said he came up with the main idea, explaining that he owned a copy of the soundtrack for a 1961 film called West Side Story. Paul McCartney explained how he took the phrase "There's a Place" from one of the songs of the soundtrack called There's a Place for Us. That song, however, refers to a place at the back of the stars for a kiss and a cuddle, whereas the Beatles song refers to the human mind. So let's go ahead with our next section.
In the studio, recording the song.
The Beatles recorded There's a Place on the 11th of February 1963 at Abbey Road Studios, of course at that time it was called EMI Studios, in London. It was during a marathon session in which they recorded 10 out of the 14 songs of the Beatles' debut album, Please Please Me. Producer George Martin have been to Liverpool and have seen the Beatles played live at the Cavern Club, so he wanted to recreate that atmosphere in the studio. That's why he asked the Beatles to perform all the songs in one day as if it was another show. The Beatles recorded There's a Place in 10 takes, reworking the rhythm and the bass line between attempts. After the lunch break, John Lennon finished the song by overdubbing a harmonica onto take 10. He did 3 takes, which were marked as take 11, 12, and 13. Take 13 was considered the best. John Lennon had a heavy cold that day, although you can't really tell in this song because it's one of the first songs they recorded, and also because Paul and John sing the song together most of the time. But in other songs recorded that day, like for example Twist and Shout, you can really tell how John Lennon was losing his voice, but in a nice way that gave it like an extra charm. So for this song we have John Lennon on vocals and rhythm guitar and harmonica, Paul McCartney on bass and vocals, George Harrison on lead guitar and backing vocals, and Ringo Starr on drums. The song was produced by George Martin and engineered by Norman Smith. So let's go ahead with our next section.
This is decoding the lyrics.
The lyrics of There's a Place are very introspective, and we're gonna see much more of this later in the Beatles' career, especially on Lennon's songs. Like for example Nowhere Man, released in 1965 as part of the Rubber Soul album, or Tomorrow Never Knows, released in 1966 as part of the Revolver album. So this is the Beatles' first album where all the songs are love songs, basically, like Love Me Do, P.S. I Love You, and all of a sudden we have this really introspective song that talks about a place where you can go where you feel low, which is your mind. Really nice, right? Because we always have access to our own minds. Some people can control it better than others, but it's a really cool place. The song is also very optimistic, especially in the bridge when it says, "In my mind there's no sorrow, don't you know that is so?" On the 25th of February, George Martin returned to the studio to mix the song together with Norman Smith, and they also added a lot of reverb or echo to John Lennon's harmonica. Hi, sorry to interrupt the video. Just a very quick, very important announcement. I published a book. That's right, I published a book. It's called From the Cavern to Abbey Road, a journey through the Beatles' iconic landmarks. In this book, we see the story of the Beatles from the places where everything happened. Some of them are famous, like let's say Abbey Road Studios, and some of them perhaps not so famous, like for example the art gallery where John and Yoko met. I put a lot of work and effort into this book, and it would help me so much if you grabbed a copy. It's available on Amazon all around the world, so if you want your copy, please go to the link in the description. Thank you. Now back to the video. So let's go ahead with our next section.
Breaking down the music, breaking down the music, breaking down the music, breaking down the music.
Just like many other songs from the Beatles' debut album, Please Please Me, There's a Place is a very short song, lasting only 1 minute and 50 seconds. The song is in the key of E major and in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Paul McCartney and John Lennon sing the song in harmony, alternating between fourths and fifths, which gives the song a really cool texture. The Beatles decided to record John Lennon's harmonica for the intro, which gives it a sense of continuity with their earlier singles like Love Me Do or Please Please Me. Now I'm gonna show you something about the harmony. There's a Place is in the key of E major, and it starts with the first grade of the scale, which is E, and the fourth, which is A. These are the chords for the intro, where we can hear John Lennon's harmonica. So we have the same chords for the first part of the verse.
There is a place where I can go when I feel low.
And then it changes when it says,
When I feel low.
now instead of going to A, we go to a minor chord, C sharp minor, which is the 7th grade of the scale.
When I feel low.
That already tells us that something's gonna change. And now we go to the 5th, which is B. The 5th always wants to resolve, it wants to take us back. And now we go 5th and 4th.
When I feel blue, and it's my mind.
Now this is an unexpected change. We go to the 3rd grade of the scale, which is a minor chord, C sharp minor 7.
And it's my mind.
And the 4th,
And there's no time when I'm alone.
and that's really cool because this chord, B7, is the 5th, and it wants to take us back to the 1st, right? But instead, we go to the relative minor, which is C sharp minor,
When I'm alone.
which is much darker. So let's go ahead with our final section.
And finally, this is legacy and impact.
There's a Place was included on the Beatles' first album, Please Please Me, which was released in the UK on the 22nd of March 1963, and it reached the top spot on the UK Records chart, and it stayed there for 30 weeks. The song was also included on the Beatles' first album in America called Introducing the Beatles. In March 1964, the song was also released in America as the B-side of Twist and Shout, reaching number 74 on the Billboard Hot 100. So this is pretty much it for now. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook. There is a PayPal link for donations. Of course, every donation will be absolutely appreciated. You can also buy my book. That would make me very, very happy indeed. Or the free option is just to subscribe to this YouTube channel and maybe click on the bell icon so you're the first to know when I upload new videos. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Well, I'm afraid that's us run out of time.
Oh,
I'm really
okay.
sorry.
Oh,
So,
thanks. Bye, everyone.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I give my heart to you, I must be sure from the very start that you